welcome to Faith Covenant Church here in Scottsboro, Alabama. And I'm excited to take you on a tour of the brand new AVL system we just installed here. And we just wrapped up the install and our cleanup a few minutes ago. So you'll be the first to see it. Come on in.
When Faith Covenant first wanted to work with us, they did it at a really great time. Before any of these walls that you see are up, they contacted us. So we were able to figure out a lot of the planning for the wire schedule and all of that. And what they did was actually expand this building. They were meeting in a temporary space, but once we are able to finish the integration, they moved to this larger space. So the sanctuary is existing and this lobby that we're in now is completely new. So this is an addition renovation project that we worked on. We're able to plan the whole thing start to finish with them and get to this point that we're at today. Something that's important to Faith Covenant is their community, and they have this giant lobby space to where people can come in and be greeted and gather. Obviously, part of the renovation was because they're continuing to grow in this area, so having a large welcome space, a place where people can come and be welcomed, and then after the service, spend time in fellowship is really important. So they built this giant, beautiful space. When you walk in this door and it's mirrored on the other side, there's also a speaker that is the broadcast feed. So you walk in and you get a preview of what you're gonna encounter in the room.
All right, let's head on into the worship center. So follow me. And here we are. So this entire space here in the worship center, like Adam said, this used to be their old worship center plus other hallways or rooms that they had in this building, but now it is a 500-seat auditorium. I think they went from just under 200 seats to now 500. You've got the sort of stadium seating at the back wall, so there's really no bad seat in the house, both visually as well as audibly. We'll talk more about that sound system that we installed here. So I really like the aesthetic of the space. I like how the acoustic panels add the texture to the walls, and you've got the dark ceiling. So all of our speakers and all the cabling that's run up there, it all just disappears, and you're really able to visually focus onto the stage. One of the amazing things about this room is that it has a very short reverb time, giving us a ton of control over the mix. It's gonna make it so much easier for their team to mix the worship band and the pastor's preaching. These are the Prime Acoustic Broadway panels in the linen color, and it goes really well with this sort of beige gray color they got on the wall here. I think the painters did a fantastic job. So we have wall panels on the walls, and then we have the Prime Acoustic cloud panels on the ceiling. And because the ceiling's black, you really have to strain your eyes to actually see those black panels on the ceiling. And the acoustic treatment, again, the goal is let's keep that reverb time under 2 seconds so we don't have unwanted energy bouncing around the room, and then we're gonna hear pristine audio from this sound system that Adam's gonna tell you about.
This sound system is amazing. It is one of the best ones that we've had in our installs so far, and a lot of planning, a lot of design went into it, and I'm super happy with how it turned out. We have 2 dual 18 subs hung in the center, which was definitely a fun project to get those hung up there. And then we have 4 dual 15 coaxial speakers for our mains. So that means that each speaker box has 2 15 drivers in it, 2 15-inch drivers, and then inside of that is seated the tweeter. So you've got the low end on the driver and then the high end, the high frequencies on the center, and it's lined up. So it all hits you at the same time, and it sounds great. And the way that we're able to hang them with our polar focus rigging, it was designed in a way to where we're able to move them around and really get the timing. So when you walk around the space, you don't hear any phasing. You get from this seat to this seat, and it sounds the same everywhere. And we also have delays and front fills to help with that as well. Here we have our front fills. So these guys are really for the first row or two, and what they do is fill in the little bit of gap that was left over from the mains. So this allows us to not push the mains onto the floor too close to where speakers with microphones are gonna be, but it also allows us to have these front fills control how much it hits the front row. So when you walk from the back of the room to the front of the room, it really is seamless to when you're hearing the mains to when you're hearing the front fills. I'm in the stadium seating, and I'm getting the same audio experience as the rest of the room because we have our delay ring around here. So it's really only 2 speakers. It's one speaker that's in front of this section of the stadium seating, and then it's mirrored on the other side. So again, it's really seamless. If you're sitting or standing in this area and you walk down the steps, it's a really blended transition into when you start to hear the mains, and it's timed that way. So every seat in the house is pretty much the same.
Oh, okay, so while we're in here, I want to tell you about the ceiling speaker. It is mounted in the drop ceiling above us. It's a speaker by Lowell Manufacturing. And then over here, we have a little knob to control the volume of the sound in the bathroom. So it's something it's easy to forget that folks, when they go to the bathroom, it's good for them to maybe hear what's going on, or you just want to play some relaxing music in the bathroom. We integrated that as well, so this is tied into the main PA system. Speaking of integration, out here in the lobby, we got this cool little touch panel. This is called the WM Touch by PowerSoft. It gives this church the ability to play whatever audio they want out here in the lobby. So maybe they just want to hear an extension of audio coming from the auditorium. They're going to go to source, and then they're going to select auditorium. Or maybe they just want to hear some background music playing on Spotify or some music library. They can select music, and now that's what they're going to hear out here. Plus, they can control the volume of both the bathroom and the lobby areas from this touch panel. Out here in the lobby, they hear the same pristine audio as in the worship center because the speakers are also Fulcrum acoustic coaxial speakers, the 8-inch driver ones, and they have full coverage in the lobby. So again, they can extend that energy coming from the worship center, or they can play other music for other events out here.
Welcome to the rack room. It's really just a hallway behind the stage, so musicians can come in around through here, but this is where we decided to store the racks. It's directly behind the stage, and also for cable management, made it really easy to run all the cables straight up through the wall along the main beam to all the areas that we needed to go. I'm very excited about how these racks turned out. We put a lot of time and energy into planning them, and then the execution, and then doing them a different way because we learn new things. So this is kind of the evolution of where we're at today with Churchfront rack building. And we were talking about the audio specifically, so let's talk about the audio rack, ERO2, equipment rack number 2, where all the audio stuff is. So up top, we've got our lovely light, which actually is adjustable. You can change what you want it to look like. Probably it's better for video. And then we have our awesome Churchfront plate. Thank you, Elite Core, for making those for us. We've got a power sequencer. So this is the sequencer, and it's connected to the RPCs, so we're able to remotely trigger this, and then this sends a signal to certain devices, says turn off in this sequence, turn on in this sequence. Makes it really handy for turning on and off your whole system in the correct sequence. We've got a brush plate. We're not using a lot of it because we integrated this patch panel. So on the back side of this pass-through patch panel, we have all of the cables that actually go to the destinations within and outside of the rack, and it makes it really easy for us to make a change if we need to do so. Because directly below it is our USW Pro Max switch. We have a low power, just regular PDU so that we can power devices in here. And then we have our wireless mics. These are all the Sennheiser EWD series, and we've got 9 of them. So we're able to put all 9 of these into the Distro 9 HDR from RF Venue. And right on the other side of this wall, we have the antenna for that, and it's the black architectural panel. Below that, we have our combined 8. This is so that in the future, if they want to use wireless in-ears, they have this. For now, they're using wired in-ears with the P16D. So this is a unit from Behringer. There are actually 2 of these units on site. Everything was working great, and as soon as rehearsal started, the brand new P16 that they bought died. So fortunately, there was a backup, and we were able to hot swap this out and get rehearsal going. They also have Behringer stage boxes, Midas DL32, Behringer S16. So we have a pass-through right here, so we're able to pull all of our audio from the stage into these stage boxes. And then we have our amplifiers. So we have all PowerSoft amplifiers. This first one, a Quattro Canali 1204. This is for the lobbies and the bathrooms. And then we have the Unica series for the rest of the amps. So the subs, the mains, and then the delays and the front fills.
Let's head on over to the next rack, which is our computer world and our video world, as well as lighting as well. So up here at the top, again, we do have a 24 port switch with a patch bay here. So again, with all of our network integration, we're using multiple VLANs to isolate our production control network for internet access to different devices. And then we put Dante on its own VLAN as well. And then those VLANs are separated from the other VLAN that's controlled by the main Dream machine that runs in a different room back by the offices here. So they had a great IT manager on site we were able to collaborate with there using the Unify system. Down below the switches here, we've got our processor, the Novastar processor for the LED screen that we'll show you guys. And then underneath that, we have our ATEM Constellation 2ME video switcher, and it also really functions like a video hub. It gives us 2 mix effects, so they can easily on the fly switch between video feeds going to their live stream as well as maybe the video feed going to their center screen. They can assign those MEs however they would like. Underneath video world, we have our computer world. We've got the X-Mac Mini server chassis running a Mac Mini. Then we got the Sonnet Rack Mac Mini holding 2 Mac Minis down here, and these are going to be our 3 workstations that we're using in this production setup. Underneath that, we've got our video encoder by Boxcast. They've got the Boxcaster. Then they've got a Kilo View, which gives them some NDI flexibility to receive or send NDI video. So the Kilo View is connected into the ATEM, and then again, they can send video from the ATEM maybe to their other building across the way over the network. Down here towards the bottom of the rack, we have our lighting world. So we've got our DMX distro by Pro Church Lights and the wall panel control by Pro Church Lights. So this is where we can assign the lighting scenes to the wall panel that is in the production booth, so someone can easily turn on the stage lights with just a click of a button. For their content system, they are using an altitude LED screen that we installed. And this screen is 3.5 meters wide by 2 meters tall. It's a great size for the stage. Also considering the fact that the stage in the back wall, it's not very wide, right? You couldn't put a gigantic single wide screen across the back of the stage because it kind of like comes in at this type of direction into the corner of the building. So you can see how thin these cloud panels are, and they're intended for permanent install in a church environment like this, where you're not going to be moving these around. So we're able to just make them have a really thin form factor. They don't really take up any space on the stage. They're also very simple to rig. You have a solid piece of unistrut, which is securely mounted into the beams above us, and then you have a flybar on top of the cloud panels. And then once you get that flybar level, it's actually very simple to install the rest of the panels. And then we integrated the data from the processor as well as the video from the processor, and we integrated the processor with the ATEM. So this LED screen can display whatever content they want. It can function as an iMag screen if they want to put the pastor, or maybe they're doing a baptism in here on stage. They want to zoom in and put it on the cameras for eye magnification. They can do that. Or they can put your motion backgrounds in videos, and this aspect ratio is pretty close to the 16:9 aspect ratio.
We talked to Faith Covenant about doing 3 LED walls, but it simply wasn't in the budget, so we came up with a great solution of an LED wall in the center and projectors on the side, and I think they turned out really great. So how we're doing this is we have a short throw laser projector, and this is mounted to the purlins, or some horizontal beams in the ceiling on some unistrut, and it's a short throw projector, so it's mounted very close to the wall. And then on the wall we have these screens. Just kidding, it's paint. We have screen goo paint that was painted on the wall by professional painters, and they did a great job. And they even went as far as putting a little piece of wood trim and painting it black so they get a really super clean edge and make it look like this is actually a physical screen. So this LED wall behind me is about 30% brightness, and then we have 100% brightness on these side screen projectors that are 3000 lumens. So they match up pretty well. We were able to get them to look pretty similar to each other. So with these screens, if they wanted to do 3 LED walls, that would have been close to $60,000, but they were able to do these projectors with the paint and all the accessories with that, about $4,000 per projector. So I think it was a great cost savings compromise.
The lighting system here is simple but effective. We have fixtures by Pro Church Lights. They're often featured here on the channel. We have 8 front wash lights that get adequate front lighting from the upstage area where the drums are all the way down to actually in front of the stage, because here, this is a Pentecostal church, so they have a lot going on down here in the altar, lots of prayers. The pastor likes to walk around down here. So you got to think about making sure that those areas also get lit as well. For backlighting, the blue light you see here, these are our kick lights by Pro Church Lights. There are 6 of them, which is adequate for this stage, and it really helps separate the background of the subjects from the foreground. That really looks great when it comes to putting the image on camera. For the house lights, they have these dimmer switches here in the tech booth. So they're not DMX dimmable, but this is another great way to just save some funds and still have dimmable and adequately bright house lights. It really has a good ambiance. The color temperature is a little bit warmer, so it feels really welcoming and homey in here. So down here, we have our lighting control panel. We can select different presets to change lights on the stage, or we could just black out the stage if we want to, or we can switch between console and the wall panel. And then here's our switch for our power sequencing for the entire audio and video system.
So here we are in my favorite place, front of house. They're able to build this booth brand new, so we're able to give a few different suggestions. One was to use just standing desks for these different locations here. So you can see that the front of house desk is a little bit taller, and it puts the faders in a really good position. If someone's a little bit taller, they can go ahead and raise it up or lower it. And we have these stools, which I did specifically shop for. I really like that they have a back, they have a place to put your feet, and again, the fact that they are adjustable is really handy. So if you wanted to have this taller, so you can just sit or stand and have it be whatever height, these are great. They're just on Amazon. So for front of house, we have our Behringer wing, and we are running live tracks to multi-track record. So we actually recorded and used this rehearsal to do a little bit of additional mixing. With the console, with the system being as great as it was not difficult to get a good mix going really quickly. The other position actually in the sanctuary is computer graphics / lighting. So we do this very often. ProPresenter and LightKey work really well together, and it's just a really easy integration. It's really easy for one person to run both because we can leverage automation. So we're using ProPresenter 7, and we have a Stream Deck as well. So we're able to trigger a song and that to trigger the lighting on LightKey. One of the reasons this front of house booth is so clean is because we're utilizing KVMs. We were able to run all of our wire on this main beam and then through this cavity here and then up along the wall. So we have a cable raceway, and anytime we need to have a cable for a KVM, console audio, etc., it comes through one of the pathways in the cable raceway. For our audio system, we are utilizing Dante to get audio to the amps and from computers, but I'm actually using USB for live tracks, and it keeps it separate. We're able to actually use 48 channels of audio through USB, through the KVM, to get audio from the console to this computer. On stage, let's walk through what we've got going on for instruments. So we have a Nord here for keys. I really like this stand that they have, this Nord Piano 4. And this is simply going into DI boxes. Something unique that they're doing is actually using the P16 to control their wireless in-ears. This is actually the new model, the P16 HQ. And I believe that, correct me if I'm wrong, I stole this from Hebron Church, another client of ours, and they actually utilized these little things that you put on the front of products at a grocery store or whatever. So it just is stuck on there, and then you can swap out these little pieces of paper if you want to change what is routed to your in-ears. But we're sending the audio out of this into their PSM 300s and then their other wireless units as well. To make this stage really flexible, we're utilizing the Sound Tools cat drops. So a single Cat 5 cable is run to these devices, and then we can use 4 channels each. So this one is just for the stereo keys. We have one that is for bass and electric guitars. And then we have one that we utilized for the choir for both sends and returns. So we're able to get a wedge up there and the choir mics. Here we have the F-Note kit. It works really, really well in this room. Again, the room is treated. We've got a really great PA. And when I was able to do the virtual sound check, it was just like having the drummer in the room, which makes it really easy to train people how to mix because we don't have to have the full band and hear what it actually sounds like in the room. If we had a live kit here, it would sound different because you would be getting both the sound coming through the speakers and the ambient room. But with these, they're so quiet that it doesn't make a difference whether you're having a live drummer or you're playing audio back. So this is the F-Note 7X, and the difference between this, the 7X and the 7X Pro, is that we only have a stereo out that we're utilizing for this. So we're able to make adjustments during rehearsal. I asked for more or less of certain cymbals or drums, and we're able to get a good mix. But if I had the full 8 outputs, you actually can do 12 with the Pro, it would be a lot more versatile. So I definitely recommend, if you're going to go ahead and get the F-Note, I would get the Pro series. That being said, we did configure the system so that if they decide to swap out the brain and get the 7X Pro, they'd be able to utilize all of those outputs. So this church has a choir really often. So we've got these choir risers here, and we utilize 2 Rode M5s that I believe the church had purchased, and we're able to capture the choir really well. And then we're able to capture this choir, AKA the congregation, with some room mics. They are black, they're hanging from the ceiling. You probably won't be able to see them, but we position them to where you're able to get as close to the congregation as possible without it blocking the view of any of the screens. So we had multiple people in here on a lift, people kind of dangling the mic down until we got it to just the right position to where we're able to capture the congregation really well, but not block anyone's view if they were over here and needed to see the top of the screen.
We'll head on into the broadcast video room, but check out this cool sign piece of wall art. It's like a map. Here's Scottsboro. We're here in northeastern Alabama. It's a cool area. I never thought I'd spend so much time in Alabama in the past year, but it's a great place. Come on into the production room. Here's the broadcast video workstation. We've got 2 screens here for our multi-views from the ATEM switcher, and then we've got 2 monitors here from the Mac computer that was racked way over in the rack room. Again, we've got the KVM. It gets the monitor, keyboard, mouse, and other USB control over here. We've got the PTZ Optics joystick controller, so I can go in, I can select the camera, and then I can start moving that camera around. I can zoom in, zoom out, and it looks pretty good. And then we've got a Stream Deck. So Adam programmed the buttons on the Stream Deck to make it really easy to start cutting video. They can preview, they can do the transitions. We've got some other macros as well to make all of these video changes very easy and efficient for volunteers. They can just read what's on the Stream Deck button and it will happen. And then they're using Boxcast, so they just go to a web browser, they can pull up the Boxcast dashboard to see the live stream online, and it gets distributed to various social platforms or their own private web player on the website. Boxcast is very flexible, very reliable. And then they've got some Mackie speakers here. So the Mackies have a Dante AVL adapter plugged into the back of them, so we can send the broadcast matrix mix from the wing into this room. So they don't have a separate person mixing audio here. We're able to add in the crowd mics to the main left-right mix, and they're able to have a fantastic broadcast mix just from what you hear in the room. And it's very possible to do this when you have a PA system that's tuned well, and when you're mixing at front of house, that's gonna translate really well online, especially if you just add in maybe additional reverb in the crowd mics to add some life to the mix. Speaking of their camera system, they're using 4 PTZ cameras. They've got 2 of the PTZ Optics Move SEs, and then they have 2 other older PTZ Optics they're using for a wide side shot, and then they have one on stage as well. I want to give a huge thank you to the Faith Covenant community for entrusting this project to us. Adam crushed it on this project as the project manager, and the whole Churchfront team and our crew members locally were able to help us so much in executing this large but exciting expansion of this worship center. If you would like to partner with us on your next AVL project at your church, just go to churchfront.com to learn more about that process. As always, let us know your questions and comments down below in the video. We got links to all sorts of resources at churchfront.com down below as well. Hit that like button, share it with your friends, and we will see you guys next time.